Welcome to Through the Lens of Astrology. I'm your host, Heather Arielle, and this episode is all about Mars in Gemini. You know how I always like to let you know when Mars is changing signs. It is such a big deal because Mars makes things happen. It is it is action, it is our energy. It is our ability to get things done. It is our sex drive. It covers a lot of really important things. So, we always want to know, what is Mars doing? Where is it in our natal chart? And what sign is it in general? Because whatever sign it's in, we are going to be connecting. It is going to be influencing how we take action. Okay, so Mars, we went through those 6 breathless months from late June to early January when Mars was in the sign of the warrior, Aries. Mars is warrior energy, and so is Aries. So that was really, oh my gosh, breathless. And then in January, it went into Taurus. Hopefully, you all were able to take some grounding actions, connect to earthly pleasures, spend some time in nature, pamper yourself with that luxuriating Taurian energy. And it seems, I mean, that was just for 6 weeks. That just kind of flew by since we had spent so much time with Mars in Aries. But that's because of the retrograde, remember? So, which Mars goes retrograde every couple of years. So now that everything's going forward, it just spins around 6 weeks in a sign. So, March 3rd to April 23rd, Mars will be in Gemini. So, a couple of things. One, you want to get out your natal chart. And that is the snapshot of the cosmos, the moment you were born. All you got to know is when you were born. So, day, month, year. And if you're not sure of your exact time, look for a baby book. They are surprisingly reliable. You can go to Vital Records and you can order, but be sure to order a long form, not the short form, because the long form is what has your birth time. And you can go ahead and ask relatives, but sometimes their memory is not you can usually figure out whether you were born in the morning or evening or general times, but we really want to get to as close to the minute as possible because that's going to tell us what your rising sign is, right? That's going to tell us the degree of your ascendant, which gets the whole ball rolling in your chart. So get your natal chart, and when you have it, pretend it is a clock. And you want to go to 9 o'clock. And here, I'll just show you. This is the first house card. And remember, we have 12 astrological houses. We all have them. They're all represented, whether we have planets in them or not. So each chart is made up of 12 boxes, 12 astrological houses. Every house is an area of experience. So when you go to 9 o'clock, when you look at your natal chart as a clock and you go to 9 o'clock, that is the first degree of your first house. And that gets everything rolling. And then you're going to go counterclockwise. And so the second house will be represented by 8 o'clock. And then the third house by 7, and you get my drift. And then you go around. And so what you want to do is find where Gemini is. What cusp? What cusp, what house is Gemini in your natal chart? And so you're going to want to look for, I'm going to upload the symbol for Gemini to Through the Lens of Astrology Facebook group. So if you don't know what the symbol is, because yeah, there's so many symbols on a natal chart, you can go to Through the Lens of Astrology Facebook group and you'll be able to recognize Gemini. And then you'll go around house by house and you'll find where Gemini is, which house, because then you're going to know Mars will activate that house. And Mars, it just makes things happen. So we got to embrace it. We have to engage. We cannot pretend it's like, oh, yeah, Mars, I'm just not going to pay attention to what Mars is doing right now. It's not an option because it will make things happen. So the more we can be present with Mars, then we can use it to our advantage. Okay. So Mars in Gemini, and I'm holding up the cards from the Fundamentals of Astrology, the Fundamentals of Astrology Oracle deck. It's a 52 card deck and guidebook I created with artist Tom Cummins. And you'll see everything is color coded. The planets have light blue borders, the zodiac signs have purple borders. So it's all about helping you to have immediate comprehension of your energy. Whether you're trying to connect with your own natal energy that's in your natal chart, which is fixed and which are your gifts for your entire life, or if you're trying to connect with energy that's in transit, we call the transiting energy, that is just as Mars is transiting Gemini, it'll be in Gemini, as I said, March 3rd, April 23rd. So maybe you want to pull out these cards to look at to say, okay, how can you get in touch to help you be present with that energy? So, Gemini is an air sign. It is mutable. I like to think of Gemini as I'm always snapping my fingers, and Gemini is kind of like popcorn. It's like, ooh, it's so fast. It's pop, 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 pop. It's light, light as air, and it goes everywhere. So think of, if you're going to then connect that energy to Mars, that means our energy with Mars and Gemini can get a little dissipated. It can just go all over the place. So we want to be really present with Mars and Gemini. We want to make sure that our actions land, at least some of them. I mean, yeah, some of them are just gonna, oh, wow, okay, my popcorn went all the way over there. All right. You're just, not all of them are gonna land. That's just the way that is. But you want to try to have as many of your actions land as possible. So I always say, meditate, meditate, meditate. And if you have Gemini or Virgo anywhere in your chart, please meditate. You're going to love it because Gemini is all about the mind. And it is such fast energy. It is the fastest air energy. It is very, very, very fast. So thoughts speed up. When you have Gemini, if it's in your chart or when energy is in Gemini, we just start thinking so quickly. And thoughts, we can even have racing thoughts. And the Mars makes us want to act on our thoughts, but we have so many and they're so quickly. That's why some of the actions aren't going to land, because we think, okay, I'm going to do that. And then I start to do it. And then halfway through, you're going to want to do something else and you're going to want to do so. Meditate, spend time in nature, definitely take some actions to ground yourself so your thoughts, you don't run away with, so you don't run away with your thoughts. Now, a beautiful gift of Gemini energy, it's all about communication. So you are going to have the desire to take actions, right, that are connected to communicating, and you're supposed to. So this really is a time to think about if there's anything you want to learn. It's a wonderful time to take that action and sign up for a class or a workshop. It's a wonderful time to read, to write, to teach, right? Learn, either you take a class or you teach a class. All of that, anything that has to do with learning and education is really supported by Gemini. Gemini is also incredibly social energy. The highest manifestation of Gemini is really the ability to make connections that other people have a really hard time connecting. Gemini can see 10 different things that are so wildly different, but a Gemini will be able to connect the dots in a really brilliant, creative way that then all of a sudden makes something so playful and intellectually stimulating. And it can wake something up. So with Mars in Gemini, this is time to be reaching out to people and to really be as social as you can be. And I know it's still hard to do the physical socializing, but that's okay. You can you can call on the phone. I know nobody calls on the phone anymore. But voice is connected to Gemini. So with Mars and Gemini, if you can take that action and actually call someone Zoom, FaceTime, where they can get to hear your voice, it will be, your actions will have more power, because Gemini does a verbal speaking is very important. But writing is really important. So hey, if you just want to text or send an email, you can do that as well. But those types of actions of really communicating with others, using your words, being as social in that way is really supportive, and making connections. So, I mean, sometimes, people talk about Gemini as the gossip because, yeah, don't tell your secrets to a Gemini, because they're not going to stay secret very long unless they've got a lot of Scorpio. Okay, then that's an interesting combination. But Gemini alone, yeah, you're going to tell somebody something and that is going to go someplace else. But this is how that can be really positive. All right. So, say your friend tells you about a project she's doing, and if that light bulb goes off where you think, oh, you know what? My other friend is really interested in that subject. This is what Geminis do. They make the connection and they reach out and they say, hey, I have a friend doing this project. I thought you might be interested in this. Oh, I'm going to put you two together. Geminis make those social connections. They disperse information very effectively. So while Mars is in Gemini, we are all being encouraged to disperse information, work to make those connections, because we have to work a little bit harder now with in the pandemic to connect with others. So this is a way that we can all contribute to the group in such a beautiful way, that we need to make that little extra effort to make those connections, to put people together. Whether it's just for because we think that they're going to get along as friends, or for a project, or for all kinds of reasons, or we all need help, and find out where people are needing help. Mars and Gemini sort of opens a beautiful box where all of a sudden we have some clarity of, oh, this person has that information. Maybe if somebody's sick, somebody who has that information about that illness. Connect them, make the connections. Okay. So this is a time to be very social, safely social. And if you can communicate, especially with your voice, it will be even more effective. Because think about uh, sometimes the tone, we need to hear the tone to really get humor, to really get the whole meaning. And that's part of Gemini's gift. So if you can really reach out and connect however you want to connect, but definitely make those connections. But also remember, and I'm going to hold up the air sign, okay? Air about thoughts. And I talk a lot about how thoughts are things. We just had Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, and we have 3 Mercury retrogrades this year. We have one in Libra coming up, and we have one in Gemini coming up in late May, and then we have one later in the fall coming up in Libra. So when we have Mercury retrograde going through all of the air signs, it's really saying what we're thinking is so important. And we have Saturn and we have Jupiter in Aquarius, which is air. So thoughts are things, and it's really still so important what we're thinking. So with Mars also going into Gemini, it is elevating all air energy, and that is resonating with Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. And it's also preparing us for the next 2 Mercury retrogrades this year, which are going to be in air signs. So with the Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, hopefully you all connected to your most original thoughts. Aquarius is detached, very intellectual, independent thinking. Okay. So that was a really great time to reflect and say, okay, these are my ideas. This is what I want to be doing or writing. With the Gemini energy, Now it is time. You have the energy to not only be socializing and connecting, as I've talked about, but it's also very supportive for you to share that all the wonderful ideas you came up with during Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. Because remember, all the energy, it does connect, and we want to be connecting all those beautiful gifts. And so that work, it's not as if we do all this work in a bubble, right? We did the work we did during Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. So then when energy went forward and Mars then goes into a beautiful air sign where it's all about communicating, that gives us the energy to communicate those ideas that we were working on. And then when Mercury goes retrograde in Gemini in late May, then that's just going to be, we're going to be able to do even more of that. But this is really getting that ball rolling. So, any type of work that you can do to be present with your thoughts, meditations, guided meditations are wonderful with energy in Gemini because they deal with words, right? We have the silent meditations and then we have the guided meditations. And so, with the energy in Gemini, listen to some, find meditations that you like, that where you really like the person's voice and obviously you like the message. That is a wonderful Gemini activity to do. Now, I'm going to take you through the 12 houses, and I'm going to take you through with Mars Gemini through the 12 houses. So then you know, well, what does that mean for you personally? So for this, get your natal chart, okay? And if you don't have it yet, you can just go online, get a free natal chart. It's so easy. If you want it, you can purchase one from me. If you want my design, you can go to Arielle's Astrology, Arielles astrology.com, and you can get one. And you can also get the Fundamentals of Astrology Oracle deck. You can get that on my website. You can get that on Amazon, and you can get my planner, because if you want to keep track of, oh my gosh, okay, where is Mars right now, what's going on, what's I created a 2021 astro planner workbook so you can be present with the energy. It's a way for you to record all of your wonderful thoughts, and there are oracle card spreads in the planner, all lots of astrological activities. So you can also go on my website and get that, and you can get it 30% off the digital edition, which is a fillable PDF. If all you have to do is use planner 30, the code planner 30. Okay, so all right, so I want to take you through, I got to get my first house card again. Okay, so your first house, if your first house is in Gemini, well, that means you are Gemini rising. And boy, you will probably just love to communicate and be social and learn and teach and learn about things. There should be an incredible curiosity to you. And that's part of your mission. You always want to connect with your ascendant, because that really is the mission of what are you really trying to do here. Your sun is really important, and we have all kinds of planets, but that means you have a Gemini mission, that really your mission is to make connections that other people can't make and share those connections, put things together, put people together, share your ideas, teach and learn, okay? And be a real thinker. Be a thinker and a connector. So, if you have Mars going into that, now, anytime you have Mars in your first house, no matter what sign Mars is in, that, boy, that creates some fearless forward momentum energy, because the first house is the house of self identity, of personality, of our physical body. So, Mars there, we just take risks. We take risks that we don't normally take. Now, Mars and Gemini is such light, playful energy. So, Mars and Gemini in the first house, you're going to really have that desire. It's an increased desire to do those Gemini things, you're going to really, really want to share what you know. If you're writing, get your book out, communicate, socialize. You're going to really want to use your words. And teaching and learning and doing those Gemini things and being social. So it's just going to give tremendous forward momentum to that area. Now, the second house, which is 8 o'clock on a chart. Okay. Now, the second house is, we say it's the house of earned income. It is the house of values, of self esteem. Boy, is it a significant house. I don't think we often give, or astrologers often give enough emphasis to the second house. If we get out of balance with this house, uh, it sabotages our self-esteem. Okay, so you want to really connect with what sign is on your second house, and you want to make best friends with it because it's going to give you the confidence you need to go forward. So if Gemini is on your second house, then that really means your ability to communicate will be directly connected to how good you feel about yourself. So you must be around people who allow you to speak. Now, that sounds a little like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I? Well, you know what? We often end up with people who around us who try to silence us in a way, right? Or, oh, don't say that. Oh, no, you don't want to say that. Don't ever say that to a Gemini. Don't ever tell a Gemini not to say something. Yeah. So if you have Gemini on your second house cusp and Mars is going to enter it, you will have energy to use your words however you see fit. You communicate your values because it is the house of values, and it will boost your self-esteem because it's a way to let people know this is what I believe in. It also means if you want to make when how you make money, Gemini is a gift. Okay, so that means you can make money through writing, teaching, lecturing, through connecting people, socializing. Even being a party planner is a Gemini activity. And Gemini is the gift of two. So that means there's going to be more than one way you can make money. So if you've been doing something and the pandemic has hit and you feel a little, oh gosh, this isn't working, and you've got Gemini on your second house cusp, that beautiful mutable duality. Okay, switch gears. There's something else you're going to be able to do to make money. Okay. Now, all right, the third house. All right. Now, the third house, well, guess what? That is Gemini's house. That's Gemini's house. So, Mars in Gemini there, Gemini's going to love to be on that cusp. This is the house. It is the house of elementary education and education through high school, right? So with Mars there, you're going to have a lot of energy for friends, uh, that you knew when you were young. And if Mars is transiting, sometimes some of those friends come back in. It's also the house of siblings. So you should have energy for siblings, or whether you like it or not, you're going to have to deal with siblings. If you have them and Mars is transiting your third house, yeah, sibling issues are going to come up. And it's your neighborhood, it's short distance travel. So with Mars in Gemini in your third house, you're probably going to be communicating with neighbors and just doing a lot of communication and connections that maybe are closer to home. Okay. All right. Fourth house. Now, fourth house is a foundational house. All right. It's, and it's 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock on the clock. And fourth house is a very deep water house. Mars does not love to be in the fourth house because this is the house of your home and the house of your family. And Mars does stir things up. Now, if you have Gemini on your fourth house cusp, you, well, a gift for you is communicating with family and friends, and you're going to feel that you're going to feel that your family is really, they can feel like friends when you have Gemini down there. Now, Mars and Gemini crossing over, that means there is you're going to need to use your words with your family and with people in your home. So if you have a significant other and you live with that person, if you live with a spouse or a significant other, they're going to fall here as well. And now, significant others fall in three homes. So if you live with them, they're in your fourth house. They're always in your seventh house when you're in a committed one-on-one relationship. And then if you're public about your relationship, you don't have to be married. If you're married, for sure, the 10th house. But if everybody knows you two are together, that also is the 10th house. So there are three houses that you have to check in with your relationship. Now, Mars and Gemini in the fourth house, it's going to give you a chance to communicate with people with whom you're living and your family. And there could be, this is when everyone has an opinion and they're just kind of thrown at you. So this could be, 10 different people in your family and everyone is just, oh, I know what to do about this. I know what to do, because Gemini is so fast and they're throwing out so many ideas. So listen to everybody and try to honor everybody, but then realize that some connections are going to need to be made, because that's going to be a lot of different opinions when you have Mars in Gemini in your fourth house. And the only way to bring people together will be through communication. Okay, through ideas and communication. Above all, Gemini's ideas. Okay, and it's communicating them. All right. Now the fifth house. Ooh, okay. The fun romance, the romantic house, the fifth house. This is also the house of self expression. It is a very active house. Mars is fantastic transiting this house. It's going to energize, well, it's going to create romantic desire. So if you're in a committed relationship, come on, spice it up with some fun romance. All right. Make sure you have that, no matter how long you're with someone. It should always be romantic, I think. You should always have some really fun romantic times. And if you're single, well, that's a great time to seek out and actively use your Gemini charm, your socializing, your verbal skills to get that ball rolling. And Gemini is writing. So, my goodness, Gemini on the fifth house. Well, you've got something to say. You've got some major self expression. Write that book, write a song. Gemini is very musical. Uh, Teach, learn, all of that. Writing is just wonderful for that. So, Mars in your fifth house with Gemini there is really, really nice. Now, sometimes Gemini in the fifth house, that can even be twins. Mars, energy for babies, maybe. Okay. All right. The sixth house. This is the house of health. This is the house of work. This is the house of daily routine. So Mars is energizing that house. That means you're going to have energy to do all of that. With Gemini, it means there's going to be a couple different ways that you can do things. Sometimes you that's going to give you some energy to find more than one way to for work, right? This is connected to the second house a little bit. And with your daily routine, be flexible with Gemini there. So, in general, you want to be flexible with that energy. And Mars there is activating it in a way where you can really put together a journal. See, journal is about writing. A journal and a planner is a great activity. If you have Gemini on the sixth house cusp and Mars transits that, if you want to get organized, so because you want to organize your thoughts, because Gemini is thoughts, and you'll have all the energy you need for that. So get a planner, get a journal, write all that down, and you can do more than one job. Okay, seventh house. All right, this is an angle house, and seventh house is a very big house. So the first house, the fourth, the seventh, and the 10th, those are angle houses, and angles always make things happen. So the seventh house is all about one on one partnerships. These are the committed relationships. So this is why it's a marriage. It's your significant other. It's if you work closely with someone, this is a major collaborator, a business partner. This is a best friend. And this is also the house of consultation. So if you consult with people, if you have a therapist, your therapist is going to fall in your seventh house. Okay. Mars there, that's not so easy because it is also the house of open enemies. So if you have Gemini on your seventh house cusp and Mars goes in, sometimes some people you thought were your friend, things are revealed in that 6 week period. And you're like, oh my goodness. Okay, that person's not exactly on my side. So, yeah, that can happen. But you also have a lot of energy for partnerships. And if you have Gemini on the cusp, then you really need to partner with someone. You need to have a meeting of the minds. All right. If you have Gemini on your seventh house cusp, your partners, doesn't matter whether it's a spouse, a business partner, a best friend, um, they will need to have excellent communication skills. They will need to have a willingness to use them because talking is going to really create intimacy. And that meeting of the minds is important because it's ideas. You're going to need a partner who has ideas and says things that stimulate ideas in you. So that and it's going to need to be social. So Mars there, you're going to have energy to look at all of your relationships. And if they are not as social or as communicative or as in alignment with your ideas as they need to be, use your Gemini words because Mars is in Gemini, have those conversations and then see what you can do. But sometimes with Mars there, you realize that you're going to have to take actions to actually bring new people in. Okay. Now, eighth house. Ooh, Mars in the eighth house, no matter what sign, when Mars transits your eighth house, your sex drive will be ramped up. This is the house of sex. This is a very deep, profound house. Scorpio rules it. And it also rules joint resources, and it rules taxes, death. Boy, it's a big house. So Mars there is giving energy for all of that. And Mars in Gemini, that means communicate about joint resources when it comes to money, right? Have those, you're going to have conversations probably about money. You're going to have to really have the conversations and figure out, and then brainstorm ideas because the ideas are so good with Gemini. And then with sex, well, Gemini is talking. So if you're separated from your loved one, from your honey bun, Gemini is perfect. Use your words. Have the phone sex. There are all kinds of wonderful ways to connect with. It's well, with the mind, it's going to be with your words in the mind. So use Gemini ways, and also write sexy notes to your partner. Mars and Gemini in your eighth house, that Gemini energy will contribute in positive ways to your sexual fulfillment. That's basically what that means. Okay. And then with the joint resources, you're just going to have conversations about what's really going on, and there's energy to kind of get things organized and put things in writing. Gemini is writing. So you may want to make some contracts even and say, okay, this is going to be, because maybe you're starting a relationship and you want to say, okay, this is going to be mine. This is going to be yours. This is going to be ours. And you're going to get it in writing and people are going to sign things. That's also Gemini there. Okay. Ninth house. All right. Ninth house. That is the house of higher learning, of college, of graduate school. It is the house of philosophy. It's a very metaphysical house. It's the house of long distance travel, of foreigners and people who, speak different languages. And whether we actually go to a different country or we're here and we're just hanging out with someone who's different, right? So it's a very tolerant, non judgmental house. So when Mars enters it, all of those activities are going to be energized. You're going to want to go on a trip. You're going to want to go somewhere. And that's still a little bit hard. So just do it as safely as you can because you are going to want to do that. But remember, you can also read a book or watch a movie that can transport you to a foreign environment, and that is a way to take a trip. That's a way. And you can learn study a foreign language. You will have energy. And think about it, if it's Mars and Gemini on your ninth house, that is a great thing to do. Study a foreign language, learn, do some, take an action where you can learn about a different culture. That's going to be very stimulating. And go eat some foreign food. You can still, even if you can't take that big trip, you can still do a lot with that. Okay, now 10th house. Okay, we have another angle house. The 10th house, that is your status, your reputation, your career. It's things that we can find out about you without knowing you intimately. All right. You can pretty much figure out what somebody does, whether they're married, where they live. You can find that kind of stuff out about somebody pretty easily. That's your 10th house. Now, Mars there, that can be a little tricky. Okay. Mars is going to activate all of those areas. Now, Mars is about self reliance. It's connected to Aries. I mean, it's connected to Scorpio too. So it's very strong energy. So, one, when Mars transits your 10th house, if you have Gemini on your 10th house cusp, you are being encouraged to take individual initiative toward your career. Okay. So if you want to sort of do some things, you just get the ball rolling with that. Now, it can happen with Mars there that there is, you could run into some aggressiveness in others, because sometimes there's, I wouldn't go so far as to say an enemy, but there could be um, a, an obstacle. There could be somebody giving you a little bit of a fight. All right, with your career. This is also the house of marriage. So if you're married or you have a public significant other, Mars is going to energize that too. And you may need to have some discussions that um, you could have some disagreements that you're going to have to work on. It's going to really bring tremendous energy. But with Mars and Gemini, if you embrace the Gemini gifts of communication, that's going to be the best way. Don't assume that others know exactly what you're thinking. Mars and Gemini gives you the energy to share what you're thinking. So we're really encouraged right now to, thoughts are things, get very clear with our thoughts and share them. Share them. Okay, 11th house. This is the house. It's our friends, it's organizations to which we belong, and it is the house of our hopes and dreams. It's the wish house. What a beautiful house. So Mars there is going to energize. You're going to feel like hanging out with your friends. It's going to bring energy to your hopes and dreams. And with Gemini there, connect with your friends. They may be able to put you in touch with someone to make your dreams, to help make your dreams come true. Use your words to really communicate what are your dreams, right? Because maybe your friends don't even know what you really want to do. Let people know. And then also, you'll have energy to find groups who support you, right? Find the groups that really speak to your hopes and dreams, join them with this energy, and reach out to your friends as well. And get in touch with your hopes and dreams. Make sure that you're thinking, that you have crystal clear thoughts. So if somebody asks you, well, what do you really want to do? You can tell them. Because sometimes they, well, we hem and we haw, right? Get clear with what you really want to do. Okay. The 12th and final house. Okay. Now, Mars in the 12th and final house, that is a little tricky. The 12th house is such a private, secret house, and it's a very sensitive water house. We just want to feel, we want our solitude. It's a very transcendent house. So Mars can shake things up. Now, what a good action to take with Mars in your 12th house is to meditate, because that would be a 12th house activity. Now, with Gemini there, Gemini is so mental. Again, how perfect. Meditation is perfect. If you have Gemini on your 12th house cusp and then Mars is going in there, okay. Now, it is a secret house. So sometimes we're very tempted when Mars goes in our 12th house as a transit, to take secret actions. Now, well, there may not be anything wrong with that, but just make sure if you're going to take secret actions that you're taking them for the right reasons, not for deceptive reasons, not to try to get away with something, right? Because remember, even though you will get away with it for 6 weeks, okay, because what it happens in the 12th house is hidden from people. You will get away with it. But then Mars is going to go over your ascendant. It's going to go over your ascendant. And then everyone will know what you were doing. So keep that in mind. Yeah, keep that in mind. Whenever energy hits our ascendant, it is public, public, public. Okay, so when you think about Mars in Gemini, all right, take Mars, figure out where it is. If you didn't know when I did this, it's okay. You can get your natal chart easily, get it, find which house is going to be activated in Gemini, because things will happen in that house. And when we get when we are not present with our energy, especially with Mars, then things tend to happen to us, right? They happen to us, and that's not good, right? We want to be in control. So when we get present, when we know where Mars is on our chart, right, where it's transiting, how to embrace the gifts of the sign Mars is in, then all of a sudden we are in power. It empowers us. And then we are empowered to take positive actions so things aren't happening, even though absolutely some things happen to us with Mars, but then it's sort of, we can bounce it off. It gets more reflected instead of absorbed. And if you want to get these cards, because with this, if you'll notice, all these house cards, they have those light green borders. I created this deck. Everything is color coded, so you will have immediate comprehension. So you can pull a card and you just know, oh, that's a light green border. Oh, that's a house. And it's going to be very easy to group them. So you can use these cards from the Fundamentals of Astrology Oracle deck. You can use them to learn astrology, to receive intuitive messages, or as we just did, if you have the deck, get out the 12 house cards, make a circle with them, starting with the first house at 9 o'clock. And then wherever Gemini is, get the Mars card out and put Mars in that house. And you will just have an instant visual collage for immediate comprehension, so you can stay present with your energy, because that's what it's all about. And we got to stay present with Mars. All right, now I want to reference a couple of Oracle spreads we did, because I have gotten some messages. I know we do a lot of Oracle spreads, and some of you are saying, well, how do I incorporate all of them? And I got a couple of messages about the winter solstice spread. Okay, the winter solstice spread that we did is still in effect. It's still good. Those messages are good until the spring equinox, which doesn't happen for another month. And the spring equinox is such a big deal. Oh my gosh, that gets the entire Western zodiac going. 0 degrees Aries begins the entire Western zodiac. So, with the winter solstice for these months, so we still have another month, there is a reflective quality, right? So, we still want to honor those messages. And when I looked them up, the main message from the winter solstice spread was the conjunction card. The conjunction. And here I'll try to pull the conjunction out to show you. But the conjunction card, remember, that is saying when astrology opens a door for you, walk through it with confidence. And we all got that's saying, as a group, we all have major open doors that we did not walk through this year. Okay. Well, this is really about 2020. So, what it's saying is we still have another month for everyone listening. And remember, by our collective listening, we form a group. So, if you're listening to this, all the messages that I do from every Oracle spread are for you. They're for me and they're for you. So that means everyone who's part of the Through the Lens of Astrology group, you have major conjunctions that you may not, maybe you've taken advantage of them in the last couple of months, but don't worry if you haven't. Think about this, meditate on the conjunction over the next month until the spring equinox, and think about what are maybe some opportunities that came up that maybe you didn't completely realize. And so you didn't take complete advantage of. There's still time because we're gearing up to the spring equinox, which really does represent a major new beginning. So we want to make sure that processed we've processed what came before. We were reflective and sensitive about it, and that there's that beautiful release, review, release, renew from winter solstice. So we are supposed to be reviewing open doors that popped up in 2020 and take advantage of those. And we have a lot of renewal that is still coming in, right? And just everyone, for so many reasons, for the pandemic, for what's going on, we are still in the process of that renewal, and it's gaining energy, and it's going to be a big show, the spring equinox show. You're definitely going to want to watch that. I'm going to do a very special spring equinox oracle card spread, the most significant degree in the Western zodiac. It's called an Aries point. Now, we do have 4 Aries points. 0 degrees of each cardinal sign is an Aries point. 0 degrees Aries, 0 degrees Cancer, 0 degrees Libra, 0 degrees Capricorn. Not only are they they begin new seasons, but they encapsulate the most individual initiative energy of birth, of making things happen, of new beginnings. So they're so powerful. 0 degrees Aries is the most powerful. So we want to make sure that on the spring equinox that we really get present with that energy and manifest it. So I'm going to do a special meditation, a special oracle card. That's going to be a magical show. But for now, connect to Mars in Gemini, connect to the popcorn. I always snap my fingers a lot. I've got a lot of Gemini, but when energy is in Gemini, just think of that. It's light. It's light as air because it is air. It's very, very fast, and it pops, and it's all over the place. And don't even, it's like you don't even, I say, don't even bother to bend down and pick up the popcorn that you missed in the bowl, because by the time you do, the Gemini is over in that other corner. And it's popping because the Gemini is going all the time. So, don't let the Mars and Gemini frazzle you. Okay. There is that light, frenetic Gemini energy with it. Enjoy it, have fun, lighten up. Its light energy, take lighter actions, reach out, connect and communicate and socialize. And it's more about, you don't even have to have those deep conversations. It's more making sure, oh, what are you doing? Okay, great. Oh, you know what? I think this other person's going to be interested in what you're doing. I'm going to connect you. Oh, and I'm going to connect you. And I'm going to tell this person what this person is doing, and have fun, because Gemini is fun, playful energy. It is lighten up energy. It is, well, I was going to show you the card. Oh, here it is. Okay. It is, as it says on the card, young at heart. Young at heart, they are the kids of the zodiac. Release your inner child and rediscover your wondrous sense of play. So, above all, while Mars is in Gemini from March 3rd to April 23rd, take actions that release your inner child. Take actions that help you rediscover your wondrous sense of play. That's our show. Until next time, enjoy and embrace transformation.